Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day. This is Luke, and this is The Scoop.
Sorry. It certainly is, yeah. You may notice that I am a bit less Bibby-ish than usual, and a bit more Luke-ish than...
And I'm not in the right chair, because I've been sitting there as well. It's all changed here this morning on Ice Cream. So what Luke said, we usually go, bow! I'm sat in the wrong seat, and Bibby's not here, so let's do one-offs. We've got Graham Day, and we've got Luke Burns here on The Scoop. So The Scoop is your weekdaily talk show covering all things in the games industry and beyond, here, featuring the opinions and voices and dulcet tones of the crew at Ice Cream Uploads. We are live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. This show goes live at 10 a.m. every day. I will get onto that in just a second on Twitch, and then within an hour or so-ish after we put the video on demand live on YouTube. Well, on demand live, oxymoron, but you get what I'm saying, on YouTube afterwards. And then after that, later in the day, we put it out on all podcast services, just not Google Play, because Bibby needs to pull his finger out. Saying that because Bibby isn't here. He has the weekend off, a long weekend, a 4-day weekend, so Bibby isn't in the studio today. This is Friday, the 11th of October. He also won't be in on Monday either, so that means that you've got me and Luke. I'm assuming you're doing Monday too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'll stick around. You know,
yeah, you can. Which also means that I'm the only person that has done every single episode of the Scoop so far. So you know, this is why I'm the champ, Bib. So, Luke, how does it feel being in the hot seat, being in the studio, being better than Bib?
I feel like I've already done better than him just by being here. Ooh, but yeah, it's fine. I'm looking forward to it. Looking to get stuck into some gaming news, you know. It's going to be fun.
Well, we can finally get stuck into the gaming news. Apologies for everyone that has been sat around for a good 45 minutes or so. I may have... Well, let me just open up the Twitch chat. I don't have it here unless you have it there.
I do have it here, actually, yes.
So yeah, I haven't been around for the last... Well, I've been here for about 15 minutes, but for those of you who don't know, I essentially travel across the northwest of the country to get to the studio, and this morning was a little bit flooded, which was lovely fun times. But we are here, we are ready to go, and if you're listening to this on Spotify, on SoundCloud, and on iTunes, then you don't even care because you're getting it whatever.
On demand, that's the beauty of on-demand content. But yeah, shout out to some of the people in the chat already, by the way. Shogun is back again. Hello, Shogun.
Hello.
Asim is here. Hello,
hey.
Asim. Who says, nice t-shirt, Luke. Thanks. Mario t-shirt. Not that our listeners will be able to see this, but... and Connor, who says, Bibby looks different this morning. So, yeah.
Fun fact about t-shirts and Asim. I was going to wear my Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts t-shirt that I got at Gamescom this morning. However, it was creased and I didn't want to look bad. So, yeah. I've had it in... I had a bag of goodies that I got from Gamescom. So I showed off my Sniper Ghost Warrior beer that I picked up at Gamescom. I also got a t-shirt as well. But the beer was in a bag on top of the t-shirt for a long time, so the beer is now on the shelf. And I've got a t-shirt. It's got kind of like a beer, yeah, like a round bit where the thing was sat on top of it. So I was like, I don't want to. I kind of look like Iron Man, I suppose, in some sense.
Could be a look.
Flooded, I believe you. Yes, I mean my bed was flooded as I slept in. That's what happened. So just to remind you all, if you are watching this live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads, you can get involved in the chat, just as Pirate and Nassim and Dad and Lad Gaming and a number of other people have done. So feel free to get involved there. If you're watching on YouTube, then please feel free to comment in the comments below, although obviously we can't respond to those live on the stream. Graham comparing himself to Iron Man. Regular day in the jelly office then, Kappa. But speaking about regular, let's get back to the things at hand. And I'm going to try do this. I'm essentially going to... Basically, when we've been doing these streams from the office, Bibby has brought up the content on screen for the guys that are watching on Twitch and on YouTube. This is the first time I've done this, and my laptop is usually fine, but this morning it's just chugging. So let me see if we can make it work as we kick off into the news. So we're starting with something a little bit tasty, and it seems to be working. Yes. So there we go. As you can see on screen, this is from Vic Hood at, I believe it was Tech Radar. It is Tech Radar. So PlayStation VR 2 all the latest PSVR 2. Will PlayStation 5 bundle with the PSVR 2? I almost said that wrong. So with the PS4 and PS4 Pro life cycles officially reaching their ends and Sony confirming a release date for the PS5, we can't help but wonder what Sony has in store as a successor to the PSVR. Could it be PSVR 2? Sony did technically release a second PSVR headset back in 2017, the sexily titled CUH-ZVR 2 with added HDR compatibility, integrated headphones and a smaller connective cord, but the true PSVR 2.0 will feature a much greater jump in specs that will take advantage of next-gen hardware to up its resolution, pixel quality and refresh rate. The main question is, will the PlayStation VR 2 simply improve on its predecessor's visuals, or will it add features like 6DOF tracking, no idea what that is, or even go wireless to compete with Oculus Rift and HTC Vive? Is it Vive or is it Vive?
I want to say 5, but I'm not sure. That's a good question.
One of those.
We're totally experts in VR.
We've got the latest rumours and industry insider info on what the PSVR 2 could look like, its likely release date, potential backwards compatibility and more. Usually I'd stop at this point so we can have a little bit of a chat rather than just going through all of the text, but this is where it appears to just get meted, so... cut to the chase. When is it? What is it? PSVR. When is it out? Potentially the end of 2020 or 2021 to coincide with the PS5 release. How much will it cost? TBC, but probably around $500. So we've covered release day. Could it be wireless? We've already touched on that it potentially could be. So I will bring us back in screens as we talk about this. Yeah. So PSVR, have you tried it?
I have tried it, I think, once. I think Lee bought it in once, and I think I remember trying that. It's a bit headache-inducing, I will admit, for me personally. I mean, I love the idea, would love to get into it, but I don't know. It's a bit like do you remember the 3DS? Did you ever try the 3DS 3D functions and how it gave you a headache?
I did. I remember all of the articles and all of the kind of like PSAs saying if you do get headaches, make sure you turn it off, make sure you take time away from it. But I didn't really play much of the DS with 3D on. I kind of like, I turned it off anyway. So
I feel like the VR is like another one of them where if you're sort of immune to its effects somehow, then you can really get a lot of fun out of it. But yeah, I'd be interested to know actually people in the chat whether they've tried VR as well. What they think of it, what they would like to see from a VR 2 as well.
Shogun says Vive instead of Vive.
Okay, there we are.
Vive.
Vive, yeah, okay.
So you don't? Do you own any VR headsets?
No, I don't own anything.
So we are well equipped to handle this conversation.
Exactly. But who knows? Maybe the PSVR, got to get it right, 2 will be what tempts us in. Maybe this will eliminate any of the problems that the first one had.
I must admit, I am tempted by PSVR 1, but that temptation just never went anywhere. We've had Oculus Rift in the office, we've had PSVR in the office. Never streamed any of it because it's so complex to set up, and there's just not that much depth of games. So if we kind of rip apart the Ice Cream Studio to make it as a VR, you can see obviously now we've moved everything back for the scoop. You can see we have loads of space, so we could definitely play the games. But then by the time we've got all that set up, there's not really that many games, and that is where it falls down for me. I love the idea of using PSVR, and what was the game? I think I've spoken about this on stream a few times before, but that was it. There was a collection of games, like a collection of demos. I think it was like PSVR Worlds or something, and it gave you a few little bits. And there was one called London Heist, and that was clearly a success because I remember the game, the company that created London Heist, the publisher, then went on to do a spin-off kind of version, a game set, I don't know if it's set in the same world, but a similar sort of game. And there was a few different games on there, like where you can do like more colourful things, but I like gritty realism. London Heist, you are... Think of yourself like in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels or Snatch or something. You're in a London West End pub and you're about to go and do a heist. You're about to go and rob a jewellery store or a bank. I can't remember what it was. And that was all really cool. And there were some really cool bits as you get into it. You kind of imagine you're in a store and you kind of you've got a jewellery desk in front of you, so you can use the VR to like pull open all the drawers and stuff like that. But as it's all going on, I can't remember if I'd done something wrong or it was just part of the storyline. It was like a sirens going off, people coming in with guns and everything, because that's how all stores are protected by people with guns. Right. But it was, I remember kind of like being there, like almost like a bureau sort of desk in front of me, and I'm like, bullets flying past my head. I'm opening drawers, trying to get things, and I've got a gun in my hand, and you kind of like jumping up and going, bang, 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 which that was all really cool.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
quite immersive, but the bit that kind of blew my mind was right at the very start. You sat in, imagine like the Queen Vic from EastEnders, but absolutely dingy. Some meat cakes sat in front of you, like talking like Ray Winston. Yeah, you'll have some of that. And you've kind of sat there, and I get massively distracted by anything anyway. I'm sat there, this guy's telling me the story, not paying attention to him whatsoever, which is probably why I don't know what we were. But I'm there like, ooh, wow,
it's new shiny, I can pick things up. And
there was an ashtray in front of me, and in the ashtray was some big fat cigar, and then next to the ashtray was a flip Zippo lighter thing. Naturally, ooh, can I pick that up? Oh, I can. I've got this huge cigar. I was like, this is amazing. Can I? Oh, I can pick that up. I wonder, can I? Ting. Lights up. I was like, oh, put the lighter down. Can I put it to my face? And I don't know whether it was just timing in terms of I held it there for a second and nothing happened, but I kind of then went. So I don't know if it was like audio, microphone related, but then it kind of lit up, and then I moved it away from my mouth, and then I was like, and the smoke came out. I was like,
oh my god, mind blown. That's amazing.
As someone that doesn't smoke, it's kind of like, this is what it feels like. But then there was little things like I was picking up the lighter and just trying to throw it from hand to hand. This guy's telling me this really important mission, and I'm there like, woo. But yeah, it was really cool, and I thought, okay, this is something I can buy into. This is. When they bring me the new games, when we get the inevitable first-person Call of Duties and things like this is going to be cool, this is going to be so awesome, and then it just kind of nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't there a Batman game or something that launched with one of them anyway? I don't know if it was the PSVR.
I'm not certain. I mean, Aston Tanvir is in the chat, and he is the world's biggest Batman fan, so he could no doubt confirm
I feel like
that.
Craig or someone, maybe if he's watching as well, has played it, but yeah, that looked quite good. And obviously, like the idea of, I mean, Batman's very atmospheric, isn't it? So the idea of walking around this kind of realistic but also surreal sort of city, really dark and whatever, I can imagine. I think it was quite scary. I seem to remember Craig or whoever it was who was telling me about it was saying, because I think that's one thing with VR actually I should get onto as well. I think it's really good for horror, and I'm not big on horror games. I'm an absolute wimp, but the potential that it's got to just scare the living Jesus out of you is big.
Was it Resident Evil Kitchen? Was that the VR demo for Resident Evil?
There wasn't there? Yeah, I can't remember what it was called.
I'm fairly sure Kitchen could be wrong in that.
It sounds a bit kind of banal, really. Resident Evil Kitchen.
Newest PSVR iteration needs to be wireless, has to be. Setting the thing up and then packing it up too much of a hassle. Also, obviously, tech needs to be better too. Says ask him in the chat.
I was just reading. He's mentioned Batman here. Yeah, these to offer experiences that normal games can't. Yeah, like putting you in the shoes of characters that places you otherwise couldn't. Batman Arkham VR still my favourite PSVR game for obvious reasons, but the sheer can't experience it anywhere else but VR. Yeah, if normal games are to have to take advantage of VR, then need to go down to Resident Evil 7 route and have the experience designed with VR in mind. Easier for horror games, probably tough one for devs, and that's actually an element as well. Like developing these games, but that's really difficult.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen from what we've already read, just from the snippets of that Tech Radar article, that there's massive advancements in terms of technology. So in terms of audio, in terms of graphical upgrades, in terms of, I imagine a lot of that is holding the developers back. And then you've got things like, we've just mentioned them from Asim, as it was in the article as well, wireless, allowing to free people up, giving people a lot more. I mean, I imagine if you've got a wire stuck in the back of your head, as a developer, you probably have to kind of be considerate of the fact that people can't really spin around on the spot without like tying themselves up in knots. Just want to mention, good morning, Definitely Nate. Good morning, Lazar the Greek. HD now. Was you HD all along? I've just seen. Thank you very much for the host on the screen as well. We don't have the audio feedback when we're in the studio, so if we are missing follows, hosts, subs, apologies for that. But massively appreciate everyone that is doing all of that. Absolutely appreciate helping the channel grow. Number one pirate with the host as well. I can see that one coming through. Thank you very much. Let me just go back to the article, see if I can pick out there it is. So this was a taste, a little bit of snippet at the end. So obviously Sony's confirmed the PS5 will release in late 2020, meaning we won't see the PSVR 2 until then. But there is a leaked internal email. I didn't actually read this, but I just thought, saw the word leak. Let's see what it says. Got into a leaked internal email from Sony and posted on NeoGAF. The PS5 will be unveiled at a PlayStation Meeting 2020 launch event on February the 12th, 2020. This meeting, according to the rumour, aims to showcase the future of Sony PlayStation to the whole world. So, a week-ish, not exactly a week before The Last of Us goes live, we will see the PlayStation 2020 potentially being out. This is a leaked email, obviously. There is posted on NeoGAF, nothing officially confirmed yet, but could that be where we start to get rumours of PSVR 2 as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to call it now. The PSVR 2 is going to get announced right then after the meeting, and then The Last of Us VR is going to get announced.
Oh, just imagine. The thing is, though, I mean, The Last of Us has... Naughty Dog came out and said that there will be no multiplayer for The Last of Us. Whether that's something that comes later on, it'd be good to see. But is that because they've focused just on making the single-player storyline the best it could be, or is because they've thought, actually, multiplayer was successful in its own right, but most people, I mean, a lot of people did try The Last of Us multiplayer or Uncharted multiplayer, for example. I loved both those games. The Last of Us is possibly my favourite game of all time, and didn't touch the multiplayer.
No, I didn't. I think I borrowed you a copy, actually, Last of Us Remastered.
You did?
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. But I never touched the multiplayer either, so I don't even know how that worked or anything. But for me personally, anyway, I feel like I would rather buy a single-player game that focused on being a good single-player game, and then I've got all these other options for multiplayer. You've got, like, obviously, all the Battle Royale games just as one genre of multiplayer. You know, don't get me wrong, like certain things like Borderlands, that I think has a very good multiplayer element. It's kind of built around this idea of co-op. But I think if you just, if it's like a single-player game, story-based, I just want that. I just want the focus to be on that experience,
Yeah. I think, from what I've heard from the people that have played the multiplayer elements of, like, The Last of Us, they said that it was fun and it was good in terms of, I believe it was kind of more, you had to operate in stealth and you didn't have, like, infinite resources, and it was good from that sort of sense, so they enjoyed it. But, I mean, nobody ever talks about playing Last of Us online with the mace. Everyone talks about that heart-wrenching moment that kind of snaps at the end of the prologue, if that's the right terminology, or the giraffe scene that everyone sees on all the clips. Everyone talks about those bits, which are key components of the single-player campaign. So, yes, I mean, well, it'd be interesting to see whether we get The Last of Us in PSVR. I mean, I absolutely 100% do not want to crap myself live on Ice Cream Reports as a clicker jumps out the wall going,
oh, yeah.
And then,
I know. It'll be
yeah. So I'll stick to the standard play without the VR.
Yeah, with the sound turned down at points as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So PSVR potentially coming alongside the release of the PS5 in 2020. Interesting to see, but it's not all PS. As we move on to our second news article, we mentioned this in our Go Live tweet, so you will probably be aware that this is coming. This is an article by Mark Knapp, also from Tech Radar. Just the website we read, clearly. Why is Apple selling Xbox One controllers? This is for the Apple Arcade. No Apple logo on this Apple Arcade controller is the tagline there. So the story essentially revolves around the fact that you may have seen in iOS 13, Apple introduced the ability to play games using third-party controllers. Obviously, we can see on screen here there are Xbox controllers, but it does work with Sony's controllers as well. Kind of stepping along from that, Apple, so going back to the article now, Apple has just delivered Apple Arcade across the range of its devices, from iPhones to MacBooks running iOS 13 or macOS 10.15 Catalina. Apple TVs and iPads running the latest operating systems are also supported, and to offer an improved gaming experience, Apple has started selling a wireless controller directly on its website. But it just so happens that is none other than Microsoft's Xbox One wireless controller. The crossover between Microsoft and Apple is a curious blurring of lines between two companies that are often battling to put out the best products. But in this case, it appears that Apple has conceded acknowledging Microsoft as the best gaming controller, a stance that we agree with, without attempting to make an Apple-branded controller. So, just a quick scan. Hi, Mr. Guy. How are you doing? Show off your phones. Okay, we'll we'll come back from that.
Yeah, there's sort of two elements to this, I thought, as well, because obviously the fact that the Xbox controller is on the store, but also by extension the Apple Arcade and the fact that they seem to be pushing that a bit more now, and what people think of it. I was interested to know what people thought about that Apple Arcade service, whether they're interested in getting it. But anyway, we'll start with the controller itself. By the way, do you agree with the notion that the Xbox controller is the best controller out there at the moment?
No. I have this conversation pretty often, and a lot of my friends do agree with that. A lot of people I play with, a lot of people I say work with, I don't know actually, maybe I don't really know about it within the ice cream team, but I know people that have they embraced the Xbox 360 controller and then they've kind of loved that thicker, chunkier form since. However, I prefer the DS4. I mean, I didn't really like the DualShock 3, but the DS4 just fits and feels perfectly. Yeah. Also, one thing that is mentioned, we covered the new PS5 and the new what we assume is going to be called the DS5, the DualShock 5 controller, and haptic feedback and everything that has. It does mention that it is a bit heavier because it has the new haptic stuff. Hopefully that isn't a big thing, because I am... I'll come back to Asim's comment in a sec. Hopefully it doesn't make it too heavy, because I think that's one of the things I like about the DS4. I love the DS4, the fact that it is a little bit lighter. So the comment I was chuckling at then is Asim says, Roy, who is from CI Games, as well as Asim, he says he's raging in the office right now that the notion that the Xbox One controller is the best. I mean, I have seen and I've heard a lot of arguments for it that is good, but I mean, I think they're all completely subjective.
Yeah,
the most compelling argument I've heard for the Xbox controller being the best it's still subjective, is my friend who is in the army said that the military users, like when they're controlling drones and things like that, they use an Xbox controller, or they used to do. I don't know if they have their own thing. This was going back 5 years ago, probably even longer, because it was the 360 generation. Anyway, they use an Xbox controller. It's like, if the military are using it, well, it's like, yeah, but you're probably talking about the American military, and Xbox is made by Microsoft, which is an American company. So, well, there you go. So, yeah, subjective. It's probably potentially not even subjective. Potentially, objectively, you can say, well, that national link. So, anyway, I mean, whatever controller you use, fine, that's good. I mean, I personally prefer the DS4. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not by a long shot, and to be honest with you, I haven't had extensive practice with the Xbox controller. I don't have an Xbox One. So, I played it a bit here at Jelly/Ice Cream, but other than that, yeah, that's just what I'm used to. It's the PlayStation controller. So I would probably go with the PlayStation controller just on that basis. It's not a very good experiment or whatever, or very, fair.
Interesting look at the chat now. We have Shogun Ass says, I was talking to my friend, really not sure about the Apple Arcade. Also, DS4 is the best controller. Teng Zero, which is Roy, says DS4 for life. NX says Xbox is miles better than the PS4 controller. Next Gen Renegade says, I personally think the controllers work better for different game types. Xbox pad is far superior for racing FPS for me, and DS4 works well for action adventure / sports games. Yeah. Interesting. BK Connor says Xbox is greater than nothing, interestingly, in the chat. So
that means he thinks it sucks, yeah.
That was just greater than, by the way. I'm taking the mick because BK Connor is part of the team and we like to take the mick out of each other. That's what we do at the school. So yeah, let's go back to the article then, bringing it back onto to topic. Apple Arcade. Do you have Apple Arcade? Do you know much about Apple Arcade?
I watched a little video about it. So my understanding is it's quite cheap per month as a subscription. I think it's somewhere between I think it's definitely less than £10 a month. But it was probably a Tech Radar video again. Actually, I was watching the guy from whoever it was on Tech Radar was saying that it is mainly indie games still at the moment, though, as you kind of expect from that sort of service.
Yeah.
And therefore, it depends whether you like indie games, I think. Also, a lot of them aren't even exclusive to the service. Some of them you could get elsewhere. So I'm not entirely convinced at the moment.
See, I don't play enough mobile games or games on the go, apart from Pokemon Go, which I play every single day, and I've played already this morning. But I don't tend to play enough games to to see myself benefiting from Apple Arcade in its current guise. Obviously, I mean, at the moment it is just kind of indie titles. There is no AAA titles, and I am quite a simple gamer. I do like my big AAA blockbustery stuff.
Sure.
I have no hidden depth. But yeah, the thing with Apple Arcade, and I've been kind of like reading around that a little bit over the last couple of weeks, and I think the issue for me is potentially the sort of the payment structure. So obviously that sort of subscription service, be it a Spotify or be it Netflix and so on. I mean, they're really good for us as consumers. We get one-off fee and we get absolutely access to everything. It's wonderful. But what that does in terms of content means that people figure out what content works, and then you tend to get people, okay, well, this is what people are paying for. And if you get paid on a views basis on Netflix, then you're going to make more content that's going to get more views.
Sure.
If you're going to make content that's really good, really powerful, really emotional, but doesn't apply to simple people like me, then you're not going to get as many views. Is that really worthwhile? And that's the sort of trade-off is if it's downloads, and I believe that Apple Arcade at one point was saying something along the lines of you will get paid as a developer based on the amount of time spent within a game.
Yeah.
And that's all well and good, but if you play Clash of Clans or Candy Crush or whatever game that you could just sit there for hours, or Pokemon Go, where you could just sit there for hours just walking around with the phone in your pocket, does that count as engaged use?
Yeah, good point.
Whereas if you create a 1 hour powerful storyline and it's gone, then you're only getting 1 hour of play, but you're delivering something much more pertinent than me catching my 72,000th Pikachu.
Exactly. Yeah, it does seem to encourage that certain design. If that is the case, like eventually it'll just be a game of leave your phone open for 24 hours, and after 7 weeks you'll get a few more coins or something you can spend on something. Yeah.
Or you get developers just saying, do you want to do us a favour, mate? Just leave your phone.
Exactly.
I'll do with a few more quid.
We'll pay you.
Weekends coming,
Yeah.
Comments. DS4 is love, DS4 is life, says Laz of the Greek. I agree. Cheers, boss. Connor's crying, says Connor, because he thinks Xbox is greater than nothing. And shun them, says Shogun. I have Apple Arcade. Ooh. It's good for the games you get, but depends if you put the time in. See, I wouldn't put the time in. So I'm not a person that would necessarily be involved in Apple Arcade, but I am potentially involved in the headline that we got into this whole conversation, and that is having access to a controller to play games on my phone. I mean, I do have some games that I occasionally play. I mean, have I mentioned PUBG yet? I don't think I've mentioned it today.
Oh, you mentioned it today.
But for example, me and Bibby on the way back from Resonate last year, we were sat on a train, we played a few games of PUBG, and I was thinking, this would be so cool if I could just, I can't remember if it's, I think there's a Sony thing where you essentially have a DS4 and you could clip your phone into the top of it, and it you can play whilst holding onto it.
I've seen them,
so that kind of thing. Whilst I might be more inclined to buy just a little clip to go onto the top of my DS4 than buying specific things for so not having to buy like these clip-on triggers that go on top of your phone screens and things like that. I'd like that kind of thing. So that I'm in bed with the idea of having Apple controllers or not Apple controllers, Xbox controllers or Sony controllers controlling my Apple products. I love that sort of idea. It's just interesting to see why Apple has put all of their eggs in the Xbox basket. Will PlayStation follow? That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be interesting. And I would love to have seen what an Apple controller would look like as well. It'd have been interesting.
do you have to peel it first? Apple jokes, banter, ladies and gentlemen, banter. Interesting though, that they have put themselves behind the Xbox controller, whereas Microsoft don't appear to have really done anything about the Apple controller crossover. Whereas Sony, on the other hand, their most recent update, I didn't go into all of the notes, but I did see something along the lines of the new is it 7.0, the operating system on PlayStation at the moment. I can't remember, but within the notes of it, it said that there is more ability to use remote play, so you can play on your phone if you've got your PlayStation on. Or I think you can do it remote plays through the internet as well. I'm fairly sure. I could be wrong. Please let me know if I am. That if I have my PlayStation on rest mode at home, I can activate it using the app on my phone, turn it on, and play my PS4 at the office whilst my PS4's at home. You used to be able to do that, well, you can do that with a PSVR.
Sure.
I have done that with a PSVR, but now you can do it with phones. But now if I can plug my connect my PS4 controller to my phone via Bluetooth, I can get the full thing. I've just got a small screen, that's all, which is really cool if I want to play a game of football on the go, for example.
That's interesting.
So yeah, that is really cool. We read that one. Was going to get Stadia, give it a chance, and then they announced the pre-delay stuff. What do you mean by pre-delay stuff? I don't know what that means.
Or I don't know, or pre-release? Do you mean? I don't know.
Unless that's the negative latency stuff that we were talking about.
Forgive me, I half listened.
God damn it! So, ladies and gentlemen, please half listen to The Scoop, 10 a.m. every day on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads, where they predict the bottom. Yeah, negative latency. That's where they use server-side algorithms to try and predict what you're about to press.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Which sounds. It was kind of your opinions of it I didn't really hear, but it sounded a bit ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to go over an old story again.
I mean, predictive algorithms, in theory, are wonderful. We know what you're going to do, so here it is before you want it. It's there and it's ready to go. But we don't live in a 70s TV program where computers know what we're doing yet. I mean, quite often my phone will think I want people to duck off all the time, which is not what I want from a predictive algorithm. Please do not duck anywhere. So yes, leave the ducks alone. So yes. Let's move forward. Let's take a step away from first parties and their hardware then, and how we are being sold more peripherals by Sony and Apple and Microsoft. Let's have a look at games and free games.
Yay, best kind.
So as we can see, is this another? I'm going to say I had to look. It's not Tech Radar, it's Games Radar. We like all the radars here
all kinds of radars
on the Scoop. So Mortal Kombat 11 is free to play this weekend on PS4 and Xbox One, reports Jordan Gerblick. So let's give you some extracts from the article. Mortal Kombat 11 you can tell it's a weekend almost. Mortal Kombat 11's free trial gives you the chance to try before you buy between October the 11th to October the 14th. Over the weekend, you'll be able to access limited versions of Mortal Kombat 11's single-player and multiplayer modes on PS4 and Xbox One, and you'll even have the chance to play as the most recent DLC characters in one mode. Starting Friday, anyone with a PS4 or Xbox One can hop into the acclaimed Mortal Kombat 11 and access 2 chapters of the story mode. 1v1 with base Raptor, Mortal Kombat 11, hop into the acclaimed Mortal Kombat 11 and access 2 chapters of the story mode, 1v1 with base roster, the Crypt, Fatality Training, and Towers of Time, the latter of which you can play using Terminator, Nightwolf, and Shang Tsung. Wow. Yeah. I used to love Shang Tsung. If you like what you play, you'll have a limited time to buy Mortal Kombat 11 at a 40% off, which is an incredible deal if you weren't sure. For Xbox One, you'll need to hit the Microsoft Store between October 11th and 20th, and for PS4, you'll find it on the Sony Store until November the 1st, and for Switch, you'll need to visit the eShop between October 15th and the 21st. Mortal Kombat 11, have you played it? Have you tried it? Did you try 10?
I haven't played Mortal Kombat game for a while, but I remember like the... What was it, PlayStation 1 days? I can't remember when it... I suppose originally it was an arcade game, right? So I'd imagine Mortal Kombat's been going for a long time. But I seem to remember playing it on the PlayStation 1 and enjoying it. I think it's one of my favourite fighting games, even though I've not played recently. So I don't know whether it's gone downhill in the last few series or whatever. Maybe I should try the free version, and...
Do we have many Mortal Kombat players in the chat on Twitch? It'd be good to know. I used to be a massive Mortal Kombat fan, and when I say that, I don't mean that as like an established adult. I mean like it was a game that I was heavily invested into as a series as a teenager kind of thing. Right. Buying Mortal Kombat, saving up for months, buying Mortal Kombat 2, I'm talking like SNES days kind of things. Right. Watching the film, buying the soundtrack. I even had a Mortal Kombat sticker book at one point in time, which I was massively proud of. There was one shop that sold stickers, and they kind of went within 5 minutes. So I had like 30 out of 300 stickers in it, which was heartbreaking. But so yeah, I'm always open to trying Mortal Kombat. That said, when I got my PC last year, I thanks to a friend at Warner Brothers, played Mortal Kombat 10 and was not very good.
Oh no!
But that was me trying to go. Okay, I love Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat and fighting games for me have always been controller games. I don't know. Enix says love Mortal Kombat 11 and the Mortal Kombat trilogy. And I know that Enix is very big in the FGC. Is that the correct term? Is it the fighting game community? FGC, UK FGC. Anyway, I know Enix knows a lot about fighting games. I'm right in understanding that fighting games generally are played with controller, right? Right? Is that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think so.
Or one of those flat.
Yeah, I think as far as games go, it's almost like one of the quintessential sort of, you need a joystick and buttons.
Well, I was very, very new to mouse and keyboard and was trying to play Mortal Kombat 10 on mouse and keyboard, so didn't play it for very long.
Yeah.
Although I did, I mean, I went from, I kind of went off around, what was the name of it? So it was like, you had like the Sub-Zero.
Oh, do you mean, what?
There was like this was like PS2-ish sort of gen, maybe. There was like a Sub-Zero game, like a spin-off.
Rings a bell, that.
But then there was, it almost became like 3D arenas. You were all kind of like dancing around each other, and it just became like, I like the left to right beat 'em up kind of thing.
Yeah.
If things move, then people move together. But I didn't like the whole.
You see, like, one of my favourite fighting games, Soul Calibur, does actually have that element of sort of 3D-ness where you kind of like, you know, up or down the joystick to move left and right. You can dodge attacks that way as well. There's sort of jumping and ducking and that kind of thing. So
I remember there was a little bit of that on the likes of like Tekken 3, where you could just like double tap up and you'd like step backwards or double tap down and you'd step towards the screen, which meant that you could miss certain attacks. Mortal Kombat Mythologies, that's the one. Mythologies. That was when I kind of went off the boil with the Mortal Kombat games. But I was massively invested in the players and the storylines, and as with most games, you go from having like between 8 and 16 fighters to suddenly there's 2,457 fighters. So they just became too much, too diluted, and then for me, I find it becomes hard to get that sort of balancing in terms of when you've got 40 different players with different moves, different stats, different range attacks, different close attacks. Then you then find that people start to just choose the same sort of players anyway, and yeah. So I when it got to that sort of saturation point for me, I gave up on the games. Then do really like the Hollywood effect kind of styling that the new games have. The literally Hollywood, the Terminator's in it. Which we'll come back to in just a second. But I like the big shiny 3D, essentially modern day design on the games. Obviously, full player body scanned sprites back in the day was nice, but now they do look incredible.
It does look amazing. All the fatalities, right? They're the big things in Mortal Kombat. Is the more gruesome, the more sort of vivid, the better. Right?
Did you see? Have you seen? Let's just see if I can bring this back on screen. I'll talk through this first. Actually, let me just recap the Games Radar article. So the latest DLC to join Mortal Kombat 11's roster is Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, which you will have access to for free this weekend. This guy hasn't had a chance to download it yet, but was impressed by the footage shown in the latest trailer, especially when it sheds its skin and becomes the T-800 endoskeleton. Cool. So it didn't actually go on to comment what I thought it was going to talk about, but you're talking about fatalities, and we're talking about the Terminator then. I did see a clip of the Terminator's fatality where he kind of... Have you seen the Terminator films?
Yeah.
So like where you'll get like a ball of electric static kind of thing, and then poof, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger will be like on his knee, butt naked, in like a ball where it's kind of like burnt the floor away. Well, that is essentially the fatality, but in reverse. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, me versus Scorpion, you, bang, fatality, and I go kind of like, I can't remember if he put something on it or whatever, but either way, like ball comes up and poof, you disappear. Just your legs are left on the floor. I thought, that's pretty cool. But then it goes even further than that because it shows you where you've gone to. It's transported you forward in time to like the big Judgment Day sort of battle. You're there like, on the floor crawling around with no legs, as like T-800s, T-2000s, whatever, are rolling up behind you, and then
it's just they always have to go like as far as they can, don't they? That's part of the appeal. But yeah, looking forward to playing the Terminator. Actually, I think I will give this a download this weekend.
I might give it a try. I might download it, but I probably will play more PUBG, even though it's annoying me right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, for me, like PUBG to you is what WoW is to me, so I'll probably end up playing WoW all weekend. But in theory, right now, I have the good intentions to try and download this. It did look good.
Well, nice segue into the next article, which isn't from any radar. You will be disappointed to know on Ice Cream Uploads. Actually, just before I do that, let's check the chat, make sure I'm not missing any important updates from the guys that are giving us feedback. By the way, if you don't know what a hitbox is, it's a fight stick with no control stick. I don't know what that means. So we'll skip past that. Spending ages trying to do all the fatalities, babalities, and friendships was my life too. Oh, friendship.
Exactly.
Scorpion wins. Flawless victory. I need a breath mint or a throaty or a soother or something like that.
That's a good.
Which is what the guy sounds like, yeah.
I like it.
And then he gets one, and then Mortal Kombat 4 is like, Scorpion wins! Supposedly people kicking off because Terminator is very close reskin of Jason from Mortal Kombat 10. Ah, okay.
So they just like slapped the Terminator brand on another character, essentially.
White labelling movie crossovers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wait until like Chucky comes in and he's like that big, but his hitbox is like that big.
Which does segue, actually, the idea of slapping a brand on a game.
Oh,
our next.
Nice link there, Luke, as we jump on to, as I say, PC Gamer. This article is written by Jody Macgregor, and Rocket League is having a Stranger Things event for Halloween. Interestingly, I talked about downloading games. I literally I said downloaded. I've had it on my PS4 since the very first day. Obviously, month one of having PS Plus. Anyone that got a PlayStation back then essentially had, I think it was month one. Anyway, you got the opportunity to get Rocket League.
I'm pretty sure I did as well in the first month.
So I've had Rocket League free ever since, as everyone has, and then I've played a ton of it and then stopped playing it and come back and played a few games and realised, this is pretty good, and then stopped playing.
Yeah.
But I updated Rocket League just last week or the week before, so I might actually load this up. This Rocket League, even though I think I almost kind of look down on it a little bit because I know it doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
But then again, I enjoy it when I play it. I suppose the same goes with any sort of sporty arena game. I know that I'm just going to be a car driving a ball into a back of the net. Boom. I know I'm just going to be a guy running down a pitch, kicking a ball into a back of the net. Boom.
Yeah.
I know I'm a guy bouncing a ball into a net. Boom. But when you're in it, you're like, actually, this is amazing. Why am I not playing this anymore?
Exactly.
But this might time you in, so I will jump into the article as Jody Macgregor reports. This year's Haunted Hallows event in Rocket League will feature a bunch of Halloween-themed cosmetics for your battle cars, adding trails of autumn leaves and spider paint jobs and the like. All of them are earnable with candy corn, which is a currency which you get for playing matches during the spooky times. But as well as all the generic Halloween stuff, this year there's also a Stranger Things tie-in. The Farmstead Arena will become part of the Upside Down, complete with the red sky and the Mind Flayer looming in the background. Some of the others new cosmetics include a Demogorgon banner and title, Scoops Ahoy avatar border, Hawaiian Hopper decal, Camp Nowhere hat, and a rocket boost that's all red swoosh. A couple of these will only make sense if you've seen the third season of the show, which should because it's quite good. That's Jody Macgregor's thoughts, not mine, even though I completely echo it. The Haunted Hallows event will go live on October 14th and continue until November the 11th. Have you seen Stranger Things episode season 3?
I have, yes.
Have you seen season 1 and 2?
Yes. Although, for those in the chat who haven't, I won't spoil it, but it's good. I enjoyed it.
Is it strange? Does it have many things?
It has many things. It is very strange. And yes, as 80s as ever.
I just watched through season 3 again about 2 weeks ago because shout out to the Chlominator who's not watching because she's in school, but my little one, Chloe, who a few of you might have seen on stream with me on Wednesday night as we unboxed a bunch of stuff at home. She was doing what she usually does and was being distracting in the background. Thank you, Chloe. But she wanted to watch Stranger Things, so we watched through all of season 1, 2, and 3, and really enjoyed it. So yeah, I mean, I'm very, very pro Stranger Things. I have a Stranger Things Hawkins High School hat and T-shirt, and I was potentially going to buy some of the Tailwind trainers, but didn't. Not sure they'd suit me, but I was going to buy them anyway. Do you know what? The main reason I was going to buy them is because on the back of the trainers it says 19 on one and then 85 on the other, and that's the year that was born.
That's quite cool. That works. Yeah. So, is 1985 the first season? Is that when the first season was set? Was that the third season?
I believe 85 is the third season. I believe that it was 83, 84, 85. Yeah. I'm fairly sure. Exclamation mark lurk, says Reveler in the chat. How are you doing, Reveler? Are you still here or have you gone? Or are you still lurking?
Still lurking. He's not lurking anymore by saying exclamation mark lurk, surely.
So, I mean, Rocket League tends to be one of those kind of timeless games, and I think it kind of comes back what I've just kind of said about it almost in a negative light. I didn't mean it really negatively. I was just saying I almost have a negative appeal of like I've done it
Sure, yeah.
But that also means that but you can do it again.
Exactly.
But now you can do it in a Stranger Things Hopper shirt. Oh my god.
I think in a way like that sort of viewpoint is quite reflective of video games nowadays compared to how it used to be. Like, I almost want to say that back in the day we used to play video games because they were fun, whereas nowadays there's almost more than fun. It has to progress into something. It has to be some sort of story or some sort of achievement or whatever. But I think Rocket League is maybe that part of its charm is the fact that it does just go back to that idea of just enjoy it in the moment. You know, yes, you do get some like rankings and stuff, don't you, in Rocket League? I think you can, you know, get into different divisions or whatever. But essentially, yeah, like how you played it 2 years ago is pretty much going to be exactly the same as how you play it today, but just with these nice little aesthetic boosts.
Which is for me, that's how crossovers should go. The fact that you can earn them by using candy corn, which is something that you earn in game for playing the game, you then can purchase aesthetics. You're not getting. We said we weren't going to talk about loot boxes, but I'm going to mention the word loot boxes. You're not getting loot boxes that you have to pay and spend money, and maybe I'm getting it, maybe I'm just going to get the same thing over and over again. There's none of that element to it. There's no needing to put money into it. You're playing Candy Corn, and you get purely an aesthetical feature, not anything that changes the game and makes you better than anyone else. That's how crossovers should work.
I think so as well.
So shout out to Psyonix. Actually, I mean, how I don't know anything about Psyonix. As far as I was aware, they were a small developer, but imagine how big that would be. Stranger Things, one of Netflix's biggest IPs, being featured in their game. I remember having a chat with influencers, YouTubers called the Sidemen. A lot of people will know that we've done some work with over the years. And I remember them having a Sidemen flag in the game. This is going back maybe 5 years ish, and being quite happy with that and thinking, oh, that's cool. Just got like I mean, they're not small by any stretch of the imagination, but if you're not from the UK, then you're less likely to know of them, and if you're not interested in their demographic and their content, you're pretty much not going to know who they are. I mean, obviously it's different now. Everyone knows who they are pretty much. However, the point I'm trying to make is going from working with content creators like those guys and giving them their own little thing for their communities and stuff in game is quite nice little rewards. But now global IPs like Stranger Things,
like everyone knows like something you know your mum and dad and sister and brother know. You know, it's a big old thing. It's Stranger Things. So
Stranger Things is also in Dead by Daylight. They seem to work keen to work with smaller dev studios. Do you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. But I believe that's not necessarily a choice that they want to work with the smaller studios. It's probably more a case of the smaller studios are easier to work with because larger studios have larger levels of bureaucracy, and anyone that's worked with like massive corporations versus smaller corporations, getting something approved could just be as simple as can I get this? Yeah. Let's get that PlayStation sort of. How do you share games on PlayStation? Thanks. I mean, that's kind of like the larger corporation versus small corporation kind of thing. My notes are quite extreme for today. A date. Wow. So yeah, but working with larger corporations, it takes so much longer, and then you get the trade-off of having but this is the Stranger Things brand guidelines. We don't have any white around the logo. But in whatever game this is, we always like to have white. We never put logos on a black background, but ours only works on a black background. And oh my god, we don't have less than 3 people in logos. Yes, but we because of the communal element of our game, we want 12 people. And oh my god,
precisely. And small brands just just do whatever. Yeah, with reason. Yeah, exactly.
Cheaper. Okay, so Stranger Things is only interested in working with smaller studios, or they seem to be, said Shogun Ash, and the comments are cheaper. Well, good point. There is that too. Is that too.
Yes, very good point.
I mean, we have been kind of involved in doing some sort of movie crossovers with a few games. I won't say what the movies or the games are. Full disclosure, we are Ice Cream, and we are part of a company called Jelly Media, and we do represent films and games and all sorts of other things. So yeah, we have looked at doing some sort of movie crossovers with a few games and with a few different brands, and and we know from that they can be quite complex. Even just doing movie tie-ins to events, not to games, and then the events has their own sort of like PR restrictions and so yeah, working with small dev studios, obviously the cost thing is good. It's probably a mutual crossover in terms of and Stranger Things aren't charging anything to Psyonix, and Psyonix aren't charging anything to. So it's kind of. Or they're probably a revenue share. Either way. BuzzDev Pete with a good point. Stranger Things has over 70 tie-ins and partnerships. They love a bit of that down in Hawkins. That is very true. We had this conversation. There was like a. I think it was like not a Matalan. Not TK Maxx.
See, I know the
H&M.
H&M was it.
H&M did a range of T-shirts and so on. I mean, I mentioned the hat and the T-shirt and the trainers. They were all a Nike, as we had a conversation earlier in the week, crossover. And then
they've had Burger King. I can't. Do you remember, like, obviously
Eggos, Coca-Cola?
Yeah, loads. Watching Stranger Things 3, there was that thing as well where Burger King was in it, wasn't it? There was like a really blatant bit. It was just like, oh, it's so cringy. And then obviously the actual Burger King restaurants will have simultaneously had Stranger Things in their restaurants as well. It's sort of like a mutual thing where both things were reflecting one another. It's quite interesting, actually. But cringy though. Can be cringy sometimes, these brand tie-ins, I suppose.
Yeah, some of them are cool, but then again, it makes enough money to commission season 4, which has been announced. So Jenkins 2009 says, Graham in the chat. How are you doing, Jenkins? Welcome. We've just had a little bit of a waffle about Stranger Things appearing in Rocket League, but now we're going to move on to our next story, and a company where we have worked, full disclosure, we have done some coverage for IO Interactive title Hitman in the past, but this news article you may have seen yesterday. IO Interactive partners with Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, which is WBIE, for a new game. And the article says a new universe for IOI. This is on IOI's website. So I can't credit an author other than news, which is the actually, let's bring it on screen so you can see. So there you go. IO Interactive, you may or may not be aware, IO Interactive is a developer based in Scandinavia. I believe their offices are in Denmark, Copenhagen, and they have a new office in Malmö, which is in Sweden. So IO partners with WBIE for a new game, a new universe for IOI. IOI and WBIE enter agreement for a new console and PC game. We're excited to announce a worldwide publishing and distribution agreement with Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment to bring a new console and PC game experience to players worldwide. IO Interactive has two development. Oh, here we go. I've just. IO Interactive has two development studios in the Scandinavian region. IOI Copenhagen in Denmark, and the recently opened IOI Malmö in Sweden. Both of our studios will be integral in the development of the new game under this partnership, and are currently recruiting top talent to join the development team for this upcoming title. We're very pleased to continue our relationship with the talented team at IO Interactive, said David Haddad, President, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. IO Interactive has a long-standing legacy of creating iconic games, and we're looking forward to partnering on this next endeavour to bring a new console and PC gaming experience to players globally. Over the past few years, Warner Brothers has shown us firsthand that they understand and respect our creative vision, and we're looking forward to continuing this relationship, said Hakan Abrak, CEO of IO Interactive Entertainment. IO Interactive has a proud history of creating compelling characters and universes for our players to enjoy. It's in our DNA. As we embark on this exciting project to create a new universe for IO Interactive with Warner Bros., we're currently looking for ambitious talent to join our team in Copenhagen and Malmö studios for this extraordinary journey. Ooh. So
exciting.
Pretty exciting as well. Particularly, I remember that there was I say regularly, semi-regularly speak to Travis from IO Interactive. He's, I believe, the title is social manager or social community manager. Really nice guy. We speak to him because we have mutual respect and crossovers. He's a football guy. We work on Pro Evolution Soccer football games, and he plays Pro Evolution Soccer. I can't remember which team. I want to say. If he's watching this, he'll be like, "We talk about it all the time." Well, every time we talk. I want to say something along the lines of Villa, maybe Villa. NXPBP, thank you very much for the 3-month resub, much appreciated.
Yeet.
So yeah, when talking to Travis, there was some restructuring happening at IO Interactive maybe a year ago, maybe less.
I remember seeing that story at the time it happened,
Yeah, a number of the team was let go, so they obviously had to reshape. And I was mentioning it, I don't think I actually finished my sentence. IO Interactive develops Hitman game, which is a game that we cover socially in certain areas of the world through our work with Koch Media. And IO works with Warner Brothers on that to deliver Hitman, Hitman 2, as it says here, and Hitman Definitive Edition and Hitman the HD Enhanced Collection. So they have a history working with Warner Brothers, and it's good to see that they've come out with this big statement of working with Warner Brothers again. The interesting thing, though, is that, and you were the one that was telling me about this, they have previously kind of teased Hitman in the past?
Yes, so I saw an article a few months ago. In fact, let me just start with this, actually, because I follow this guy called Danny O'Dwyer, and he's a journalist, and he makes these documentaries called No Clip, and you should definitely check them out on YouTube, by the way. They're like proper gaming documentaries where he goes to different studios and whatnot, and, you know, talks to them in interviews and stuff. Anyway, one of those interviews was with IO Interactive, and this article was saying basically he got them to confirm that there was a third Hitman game coming. That, well, the way they put it was Hitman is a trilogy, I think was the phrase that they used, which I'm really excited about because I'm a big Hitman fan. Those two latest games are amazing. So yes, the fact that there seems to be confirmation that there is a third one is good.
Yeah, just going to just give me 1 second.
No problemo. But yeah, so I think whether, obviously this is going to be a new IP though, isn't it? It's going to be a whole new universe. So Hitman 3 might get put in the sideline a little bit whilst they make that, would be the idea. And they'll just go ahead and create this whole new universe. Unless they've got two teams working simultaneously, of course.
Oh, it doesn't show the note on the screen.
Lucrative.
I wonder if it'd mention it in the chat. Please let me know if you got the audio description that came with that. That's my 18-month sub on Ice Cream Uploads, and it says, Luke, better than Bibby. Fact. I've just seen Bibby, he's in the chat, so that's the reason why I dropped in and dropped that. But
hello, baby.
I mean, that was my first opinion. I did see loads of people saying it's a new IP. They're pretty much guaranteeing a new IP, which then made me think, why are they saying this? But if we go back to the article, they say there's a new universe for IOI. So that's interesting. But then I was thinking, I mean, my notes that I had earlier, which are just here as a scrolling. So yeah, there's a new game experience, a new universe. So, I mean, when they say new universe, could that be like not a spin-off story, but like what's the phrase in where, like a reboot?
Yeah.
But isn't it kind of a reboot anyway? But then I started thinking, obviously there's rumours of VR stuff coming, and it's a new experience, as the way they mention it. Maybe they're looking at some sort of VR elements there.
Maybe.
But then I'm thinking, maybe not. Is it two things? Is it two things? I mean, if they're working on Hitman, they've worked on Hitman twice before. Why aren't we reading on here that just okay, Hitman 3's out. We kind of teased it before. I'm spitting all over you. I apologize. So why aren't they just saying Hitman 3 is coming? If it's a Hitman game, we know it exists. There's been Hitman films, some of them terrible. I mean, maybe all of them terrible. I don't know. There's been Hitman games, like the last two have been phenomenal games if you have the skills for them, like I do. But why not just say Hitman 3 is coming, or we are working on Hitman 3? I mean, surely that is what they should be saying there.
I kind of feel like my guess would be, that it seems more sensible. I feel like people will get more hyped at the sentence Hitman 3 is coming than a new universe is coming, in a way. Like, it's difficult to get too hyped about the sentence that a new IP is coming until you see the IP, if that makes sense. Whereas it would be, obviously, from a marketing point of view, you've got an established, bunch of fans who love Hitman. You would say Hitman 3 is coming, surely. But that said, I don't know. It is interesting that they don't use the words IP, for instance, that they are saying universe.
New game.
So it's
IOI partners with WBIE for new game. Is it a new game in terms of, is this a game that we've not seen before, or is it a new game in something that we have seen before? But then they say a new universe. So it's a new game in a new universe. So it's something I've not played before. We didn't quite say that. So what is it? I don't know.
No, it's weird, isn't it?
So I mean, maybe it's two things. Maybe in our haste to come to a conclusion as what this article's saying, because nobody really knows, other than IOI and WBIE, maybe they're saying that they are working together. It says for a new game. It doesn't necessarily say that's it. Maybe they're working together on a new game, and there's also going to be Hitman as well. I think that's probably the safer bet, because
I think so.
I'd imagine this not committing to Hitman means that it's more or something different, and I think Hitman will probably still be in the pipeline anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how big they are as a studio. Actually, I don't know if you do, but whether they have the manpower to essentially have two teams, as obviously a lot of production studios do, one working on Hitman and one working on any IP.
Well, they are, as the article said, recruiting for new talent. So maybe that's it. Maybe they're boosting their options there. I've just seen BuzzDev Peeps saying. Saw some people suggest on Twitter that it could be a Matrix game tie-in for Matrix 4.
Now that'd be cool.
See, I am Half-Life 3 confirmed. Wait, Matrix game is a good shout. Warner Brother IP. Yeah, see that. I would love a good Matrix game. I would. I mean, I don't know why they're calling it Matrix 4, because there has only been one Matrix film.
Yeah, exactly.
There was the Matrix,
and then that was it.
Yeah, and nothing else existed. I refuse to acknowledge that anything else. I mean, I'm possibly missing something. I'm fully aware of the fact that I've not watched them for a million years, but because I found them so horrendously shit. Was it Reloaded and Revolutions? Was that the order of it?
For me, yeah, I think that was right. For me, like, I didn't mind Reloaded, but Revolutions was absolutely awful. But obviously, like, the first one is by far the best.
So yeah, I mean,
it went downhill.
If IO Interactive, who've proved that they can deliver a decent game and work with Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, if they can work together to bring a game for the second Matrix film, then that would work for me.
Yeah, exactly. Did you ever play any of the old Matrix games? There was at
PS2
least one.
Yeah, there was the Matrix, and then there was Matrix Path of Neo, and I'm pretty sure I played both of them. I think Path of Neo I actually fairly enjoyed, because I think my issue with the Matrix was it that one? Because I think the Matrix game was side. You weren't Neo, you were someone else.
There's one where there was, I can't remember which one it was. It's the one I played, two characters.
Yeah.
There's like one guy or
bloke,
something.
As well. Yeah, and I thought that was okay, but you had to kind of, as you would expect, build up all of your abilities. You've got that sort of growth tree. Whereas Path of Neo, I seem to remember being more like, you're already the one. You are the chosen one. You can like, boop, 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 bullets, get the fuck out of here.
Insta power.
Enter the Matrix, that's the one. Was canon, so the studios do have form working closely with game studios. Okay, so enter the Matrix through canon. That's the phrase I was looking for. It wasn't true main storyline, and I think that. See, I'm happy with canon. I don't mind storylines that are separate. Movie tie-offs, spin-offs that are canon. So like The Force Unleashed, playing as Starkiller. I really enjoyed that game. A lot of people didn't. It was like mediocrely scored, like I think about 5 out of 10 or something.
Yeah, weirdly, I never played that one.
So I loved the Force Unleashed games, but I just didn't really get into any of the Matrix. Path of Neo gave me what I wanted. It allowed me to be the chosen one that I'd seen in the films, and it just didn't quite.
Yeah, well, this is kind of what I was coming on to, because I was thinking, like, I don't think they lived up to expectation then, but obviously it's been a long time since we've had a Matrix game now, because it's been a long time since we've had a Matrix film.
Since the first film, yeah.
Yeah, since the only film. And basically, with the PS4, hell, maybe even PS5 graphics and all that kind of stuff that it brings with it, maybe it would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you think if they're just announcing it now, you're looking around a year away, so you kind of be expecting it, maybe a PS5. Maybe. The characters in Enter the Matrix were still in the Matrix films, if I remember correctly. Were they? I can't remember. I did kind of think that was Jada Pinkett, or Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife. She was in one of the films, and I seem to remember maybe she was the character, or she just was a similar sort of character.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I can't remember.
But I've just realised that we didn't actually mention, whilst we were talking about Mortal Kombat 11 is free to play this weekend, and we spoke about fatalities and babalities and that, but not once did we
finish him.
What an absolute miss out. For those of you listening on Spotify, iTunes and so on, we have animations on stream, as a lot of channels do, and we never once used
finish him.
I don't remember using
Finish him!
So yeah, I'll stop that now. I apologise. I imagine that's probably pretty loud in your ears, so I apologise. I'll take it back. Yeah, her and Ghost. Okay. Yeah, just wasn't the game I wanted it to be. So if that's what it is, I mean that's quite cool. I'd not seen any of that, so thank you very much, BuzzDev Peep, aka Jamie from the Ice Cream team. Yeah, I wasn't aware. That's good. That's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, interesting.
But moving on to an article a separate piece of that discussion. Luke did touch on this, so I'll bring this on screen for us, seeing as he's gone out of his way to find the link for me. Hitman 3 is currently in development and might be episodic again. IO is working on new Agent 47 adventures and even a new IP. So this was written by Matt Kim back in July. IO Interactive, the Danish video game developer and Hitman series, is already looking towards making Hitman 3. But before that, IO Interactive may release a completely new IP first. Ooh.
You know what? I completely forgot that the article said that bit.
In a new episode of the No-Clip video game documentary, host Danny O'Dwyer visited IO Interactive's office in Copenhagen to find out how the studio was able to survive a dramatic 2017 where parent company and Square Enix tried to sell the studio. Instead of finding a buyer, IO Interactive underwent a management buyout to become an independent studio on the owners of the Hitman IP. And then, the video below. Hitman is a trilogy. There's a bright future. There's a full realisation of the whole world of assassination that we're looking towards as well, Abrak says. The world of assassination, when that's complete, is going to be one game with all the locations starting from Paris in Hitman to the last location in Hitman 3. While this isn't a confirmation that Hitman 3 is in active development, Abrak and O'Dwyer speak freely about a third Hitman game towards the end of the episode, signalling that it's the least in the cards.
At least, yeah.
Oh, at least. Okay, there we go. My eyes work.
At least on the cards, yeah. It's supposed to be on
at least on the cards. Yeah, maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it was the in and not the on. Maybe it was both. Okay, signaling that it's at least on the cards for IO Interactive. But first, there's a matter of a new IP. The majority of the studio, at least here in Copenhagen, is working on something secret and rather excitingly, something new, O'Dwyer says. We're still very much independent. We're looking into the future with new things, potentially new IPs that we might be working on, Abrak adds. IO Interactive opened a new studio in Malmö, Sweden in January 2019, and that's where Hitman 2 content and planning for Hitman 3 is happening. As for the new IP, that's something that the team in Copenhagen is working on, and there's no further details on that project other than it exists. So we don't need to go any more into that, but that kind of reconfirms what we'd mentioned and what Luke had already briefly brought up, that Danny O'Dwyer's No-Clip video essentially says that IOI could be working on Hitman 3. They pretty much are working on Hitman 3, but the new IP is something they've got a few IPs in the pipeline. The thing with games development studios, quite often you'll have a game IP in development and then they'll get to a point where they go, not feeling it, story's not great,
true,
or it's an insurmountable task to deliver what we wanted, so let's shelve that. We maybe come back to it in 10 years time or so on. So IO Interactive's new game, new universe, from Good Find Luke, from that essentially would say that we are looking almost definitively at a new IP as well as Hitman content.
Sweet.
And that is almost it. We just have some kind of curveball content, which Luke brought up earlier on, and we absolutely cannot not include this, seeing as we are live right now, as we are every day from 10 a.m. on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. We are Twitch partners. We broadcast content on Twitch as Twitch partners. Do you know who else is a Twitch partner?
A Twitch partner also is... I'm sorry, I'm really not sure what you're segueing me into here.
Do you know who else is also a Twitch partner? I will show you. This content from @Slasher on Twitter, which is Rod Breslau, says, breaking! Donald Trump has launched an official Twitch channel and will be streaming his rally tonight live on Twitch at 8 p.m. EST.
Bear in mind, that's like yesterday as far as UK time goes, so it's happened,
So, 2019, video games. What? What?
Exactly, yeah. Not sure how, what people think about politicians. I mean, least of all, the controversial, shall we just say, Donald Trump using Twitch as a means of, promoting himself. It's a weird one.
Anyone in the chat? Two things. First of all, do you have Amazon Prime? If you do you know that you can link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch account to get Twitch Prime, and you could subscribe to a channel like ours for free? You can see there's a little purple button in the top of the screen somewhere I don't know if it's in that direction somewhere. Check if you've got a Twitch Prime sub, and you can sub to our channel right now. Which brings me on to the next point. Would you use your Twitch Prime sub for Donald Trump? Would you? Go on, chat. Let us know. We will have this discussion for the guys that are listening on Spotify and iTunes and SoundCloud. Would you subscribe to Donald Trump on Twitch? Do you know what? Whilst we let that conversation happen in chat, I'm going to check. Is it? I'm guessing it's real Donald Trump and World Caps.
We'll give it a guess. We'll give it a go.
No. Okay. Donald Trump. He has 40,000 followers and one broadcast that was watched at least 26.4 thousand times, but we all know that Twitch's metrics never quite tell you the full picture.
Yeah.
Niobe was the female character in Enter the Matrix. Yeah, okay, I remember now. It's okay, Parliament already has a Twitch channel. That is true. Adventures, I'd follow just so I could have the pleasure of clicking unfollow. Dad and Lad Gamer says no. Asim says oh no. Enix has, I don't know whose emoji that is, but shame, hand on face kind of thing. Yeah, okay, I think we're all in agreement that none of us want to follow or sub, apart from for the joy of unfollowing.
Exactly.
You can't ban accounts based on your personal political standpoint. That's true. That is true, I suppose. Yeah. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. So yeah, if you do want to go and follow and sub, then feel free to do that. You can. His channel is there. It is twitch.tv/Donald Trump. And there are people in the chat right now, even though the channel is offline. Trump 2020, woo! So there you go, check it out. Go get involved.
It's just become a chat. It's like a chat room for Donald Trump fans, isn't it?
That's incredible. But yeah, I mean, how do we feel? Okay, let's be a bit more serious rather than taking the mick. Clearly, we aren't Trump fans here, but how do we feel about politics being on Twitch? I know we tend to not have politics. I think our chat rules might even mention no politics, and here we are.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll let you get off with it this time. But can't wait for Untitled Trump game. But one of them's an angry creature that shouldn't really be on stream, going around barking it and making noises at people, and the other's a goose.
Like what you did there.
Banter.
Yeah. I mean, Twitch, in a way, it's not too long ago that Twitch even did things beyond games, if that makes sense. Like, it used to be just games, really, didn't it? And now we're at a place where, like, political rallies are happening. There's two parts to the argument, I suppose, or the debate, I should say. Should politicians be streaming full stop, and then should they be streaming on Twitch of all places? I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, when I start to actually give it some thoughts, I then start to think, well, why not? Because we're not playing any games. We are talking about games. We're talking about people streaming rallies on Twitch, and we can do it. So why can't they? But then I'm thinking, if I then start to turn into an old man and think about politics, and politics needs to appeal to the people that it's going to impact and stuff. One person speaks politically during the stream and gets banned. We always moan that politicians are out of touch. They live in their ivory towers. They don't speak to the people. And I suppose
it seems to be
stepping away from my opinions on Trump. Politics being on Twitch means that it's more likely for viewers to see that. That said, do I feel that that's gonna work? Is Twitch chat something that can unite in being trolls and toxic? Yeah, absolutely. So is a rally being on Twitch? Are the people in the chat going to be taking more attention, paying more attention to the people calling the people on stream names and taking a mick out of haircuts and suits and you said that word wrong or whatever? Are they going to be more looking at that or more looking at the rally on stream? And that's where I'm starting to think. But then again,
it's and I mean the thing is as well, like are Trump's political competitors on Twitch as well? Part of me thinks they need to be in order to create an unbiased political sort of environment, but then the other part of me thinks, well, it's up to the marketing team for that particular political party to do it. It's kind of their responsibility. So if they're not doing it, it's their fault. But it does feel like there needs to be some balance there as well, you know.
Yeah, we have a few comments saying the same sort of thing. Twitch is just a video streaming platform. People do arts and just chatting, so as long as it's labelled correctly, I don't see the problem. I'll never end up in that category. Exactly. Freedom of speech. People are allowed to do what they want. Aston saying it's just Trump trying to get the younger vote support. He's entitled to sure, but sigh. And then Adventurist, similar sort of comment. Just marketing. How do we get the youth away from their PC and watching the TV about a rally? They don't. They bring the rally to the PC, which... See, I'm always dubious with that kind of thing. I mean, from a marketing standpoint, that is the simplest way of looking at it, is how can we get our eyes on things? It's to put things in front of their eyes. I mean, but is that going to work? I mean, and then this is where we get into a huge... We'll probably have to stop the debate on this now because it'll just waffle onto something. We wanted to poke fun at someone having a Thursday, but now we are actually looking at... The issue isn't... It shouldn't be down to the marketing of the rally. It should be down to society in general. We, as citizens, should be actively interested in knowing the ins and outs of the next referendum or election or something. It's going to impact on our futures. However, most people don't have that. I mean, I do more research than most before I cast a vote, but I don't tend to like to talk about it because you can't have a smart conversation on anything political without it. It's cat fights.
No, I agree. And then there's even the whole thing you could get into on this discussion about Facebook and these kind of platforms getting in trouble about how they present political messages, fake news, all this kind of stuff. You know, like, I don't know, because it's one thing to sort of present something that is objective and factual, but that's not always what political marketing is about. Sometimes it's about, you know, greying those lines.
Casting aspersions and things like that. I mean, and that's where we get to, like, we spoke about, I can't remember the context in bringing it up, but we spoke about Twitch streamers. It might actually be in a conversation off it. Anyway, people on Twitch can get banned for doing bad things, saying bad things. And politicians have been known to say very bad things. Some of them, obviously, in environments where they didn't realise they were live or being recorded, but what if the president of the United States, which happens to be the country that owns Amazon, which happens to be the owner of Twitch, what if the president of the United States says something he shouldn't say? Are Amazon going to ban his channel?
That's a good point as well.
Is that a thing? I mean,
complicated then, isn't it?
So I don't know. But then again, the same thing with BBC. I mean, all journalism should be free from any sort of... but is this journalism? I don't know. Anyway, let's stop it there because we're starting to fall down a rabbit hole that we don't have the mental capacity to fight our way out of. So, given the focus on mental health, I think certain space should be kept clear of politics, climate, emergencies, etc. I mean, I don't know. I'm still yet to form a fully fleshed out opinion on that. So my initial reaction is that I'm not for it. But then again, as Lad and Dad Gaming says, he's not for it, but he's not going to end up in that category. So yeah, let's move on and to the same person that we've just checked out, Rod Breslau, Slasher. I actually haven't seen this one, so I'm going to read this. I have seen this one. We commented on this yesterday and on Monday, I believe it was. So everyone's loving to hate them at the moment. Blizzard has decided, I'm guessing TESP, is that the Esports Association of America or something?
That sounds right, doesn't it?
I'm guessing, could be the wrong acronym, anagram, jobby, agronym, anomalous, Hip Hop Anonymous. Blizzard has decided not to penalise American University for holding up their sign and has scheduled their next match, but AU, which is American University, has decided to forfeit the match and season, saying it's hypocritical for Blizzard to punish Blitzchung, but not them. This, obviously, of course, comes back to the hot topic at the moment, which is Blitzchung, a protester essentially spoke out for Hong Kong liberation and pro-Hong Kong during the Hearthstone Grandmasters. I believe that's what it was called. I said the same thing yesterday. I probably should remember that name. That's twice now. Anyway, he spoke out in favour of Hong Kong with everything that's been going on in the political climate there. Wow, we might as well just turn into a politics show. Right? Get Andrew Marr sat like on the end of the desk.
Should happen.
So yeah, I mean, not really helping yourselves there. I mean, how can you ban one player, but then not ban someone else? And with everything that's going on, it might be the first one, in my opinion, was the wrong decision. It was they clearly tried to make an example of Blitzchung. We don't want any political messages, and it's not good for our relationship with China. So get out of here. Everyone else can get out as well. Yeah. You can't go like just smashing things, bullying a China shop, and then go, actually, people are angry now, so let's not do anything. You stick to it. If that's your message, double down. But now is this going? I don't know if we're believing this message now.
Yeah, it completely makes them lose their own credibility, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're PR people, which I don't. I've just flicked back to another tab. Just want to mention, I'm still on Donald Trump on Twitch.tv. I'm just about to close the browser down now, and I can see a comment in his chat saying, "I'm waiting for the Minecraft Let's Play right now." So yeah, close that. You're getting back into politics. I know. We'll move away. We'll move away. Yeah. But anyway, that's just. We won't deep dive into that. We'll probably wrap things up here. But we're just letting people know that is essentially the next step in that. I did actually hear. I was listening to. It was last night's Kind of Funny Games Daily show, which is essentially this, but a lot better. I'm joking. Scoop absolutely wins that. And they were kind of drawing comparisons to something that we mentioned earlier on in the week, which was we mentioned the fact that the Epic, I think it might have been yesterday, Epic have said, we'll let people say what they want, whatever, it's fine. Right. But they said that Epic is so massively wealthy that Epic can say that whatever they want. However, they pointed out that Blizzard, I think 14% of their revenue comes from China. So can you just throw away 14% of your revenue by throwing? Not that I'm saying that that's the right thing, wrong thing. I mean, do you buckle to keep your company healthy, or do you do what your employees want you to do and not buckle to the pressures of another government? Massive political debate, but interesting. Anyway, let's.
You can see the difficult position they're in some ways at least.
Yeah. So we made Epic look like white knights by bringing up their comment yesterday, but it's easy to be a white knight when you've got all the money in the world.
Yeah,
and, you're not beholden to someone else's money to keep your business alive. Yeah. I mean, 14%, and then that's when you start to get into the bit where if Blizzard suddenly starts seeing people go, well, I'm not going to buy any more currency in Overwatch, and I'm not spending any more money in Hearthstone, and then suddenly that 14% that you're trying to keep healthy suddenly starts impacting the other sectors. 86% start going, well, you're not getting any money. That 86 drop in a fraction suddenly makes 14%. Yeah. So that might be when they go, actually, okay, we've rethought it, we cocked up, and we want to keep the 86% healthy. I mean, we want to do the right thing, but look after all of the money.
Exactly.
So, it's like Newsnight with cool T-shirts. This is just a plain one. That's a cool T-shirt.
Cheers. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I will have cool T-shirts again next week. I think this is the first time I haven't worn a gaming themed. Oh no, I wore a blue sweatshirt on Monday. Okay, yeah. Anyway, T-shirts and all sorts of other things. Speaking of T-shirts, if you are live or not live, if you're watching the video on demand on Twitch, that's twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. Type !merch in the chat. Go on, do it. If you're watching, just do it now. !merch. Everyone do it. All of you. I want to see you all type in !merch. Because if you do that, you will get a link to Gamers Apparel, the Ice Cream Uploads store. And from there, you can buy the Ice Cream Uploads esports jersey, the Ice Cream Uploads hoodie, the Ice Cream Uploads t-shirt, and the Ice Cream Uploads retro trucker cap. And as well, we will eventually get around to having an Ice Cream Uploads mug, but, it's not there yet. So there we go, Dad and Lad Gaming. Thank you very much for typing !merch in the chat. !reasonably priced merch, as he says. Thank you very much.
Also correct.
So yes, if you also are on the channel, please feel free to type !socials too. You don't have to use all the links. All you need to remember is at Ice Cream Uploads across all social media, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, everywhere, and you will be able to find our content and reminders of this content. If you want reminders on Twitch, make sure you hit the follow button now. If you've not done it already, follow. We'll give you reminders whenever we go live with the Scoop at 10 a.m. every day. And pretty much me and Luke are your regular Scoop hosts because we are here today, and we will be here on Monday next week.
think of anyone else who's ever hosted the Scoop.
Sorry, babe, we love you, really. Baby did all of the production setup and everything, but we're just taking swipes at him because he's not here to defend himself. So, yes, that is the Scoop, week 1 in the bag. We will be back on Monday at 10 a.m. I don't believe there will be any extra content today. There may be some stream stuff. I actually may be live on Sunday playing some ad hoc PUBG fun times with my little one, the Clominator. If you want to jump in for that, feel free to do. If not, we will see you at 10 a.m. This week. How's the first episode of the Scoop been for you, Luke?
It's been informing. Is that the right word? Is that a word? Informing? Informative.
It was a word that you looked passionate about getting out.
Words.
Informatising.
I feel like occasionally I've been able to say words that make sense. So I'm going to say it's a success.
Yeah, I feel it has. I feel we've done. I feel Baby would be reasonably proud, and
adequately proud. That's all I can go for.
So that is all, ladies and gentlemen. If not before, make sure you're back here 10 a.m. on Monday for the next episode of The Scoop. This has been Luke.
Hello.
I have been Graham. Until next time, stay frosty. Adios.